Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're here in Orlando, Florida. Going to be a sunny day, but kind of chilly. What we're doing is we're going to waterproof the foundation of this two-story home. And really a straightforward job. We're going to put a sump pit over here. That's where our sump basin is going to go. And then we're going to trench along the foundation right down to the footer. We're going to install the easy flow system, which is the French drain gravel perforated pipe. And then we're going to reseal the wall. He's had this sealed by the painter. As you can see, he's had this sealed by the painter, but it didn't work. And the biggest reason is there's no drainage here. So water just continues to flood up and through the wall, right at the base of the footer, underneath of the slab, and that gets pressure, water comes up into the floor. So in order for this system to work properly, it's two parts. The biggest part is getting some type of drainage down here along the footer. This is footer, okay? And there's the bottom of the footer right there. We don't want to be below that. We're going to put our pipe right along here. It'll go just underneath of the sprinkler valve control lines. Like I said, they're definitely in a bad spot. Do not let your irrigation guys do this. Basically, they took advantage of new construction when this was, exposed, so they didn't have to dig. But again, here's the footer. Drainage has to be below the floor. Floor level is right here. That's the bottom of the floor. Drainage must be below the floor for your system to work. Second part is we're going to clean off this wall. And you can see somebody actually put tar on here. That's what this is. That's tar. Tar will not work. It's really a bad thing to put on your wall. And we have to clean all that off. And then we'll clean off the wall, get it nice and smooth and clean again. And we'll apply our liquid rubber, and that'll solve this problem. Remember, once you've got your footer pipe installed and you've sealed the wall, you still need a place for that water to discharge. So over here where Chuck's digging, we're going to install a sump pump, sump basin. You can see the basin, how deep it is. It's 2 feet deep. You can see the nipple on the side. That will accept the footer pipe as it runs across at the footer level right into the sump basin. The sump pump is going to lift it up and we'll send it straight out here to the street. You're excavating, as you're excavating, it just needs to be a shovel wide, and we're right at the bottom of the footer. We don't want to be under the footer, we just want to be right along the side. You can see where I had the tunnel underneath of these sprinkler systems. Again, really a poor installation from whoever installed this, because it's right up against the foundation. And if this were to break, this is a very difficult repair with these T's. You kind of have to take them all apart. There's 4 of them in order to make a repair. So people, please don't let your irrigation company do this. Again, it's working fine, but if there's ever a problem, it's going to be costly. So next we're going to go ahead and you can see we've already excavated the trench. Now we're going to go ahead and get this tar off the wall. And you can see somebody thought they could seal this, and this is actually a roofing tar. The wet and dry stuff that you put on your roof when it's wet to seal a leak. That will never work on a foundation wall, ever. And now we've got to take all that off and clean the wall. Then we'll apply our liquid rubber compound, which is actually a Blackjack number 57. And it makes a rubber coating right up against the wall and underneath of the stucco where the stucco meets the footer, the block itself. So perfect seal. Remember, the secret is to get your drainage in below the floor. It will not work if you're above the floor. So you've got to be deep enough that water can get into the system. In other words, water's rising up. It's not coming from the top. It's rising up from the bottom. And that's where water comes in. As the groundwater rises, it just floats right through this wall. Pressure builds, and all of a sudden you've got a leak inside. Normally you'll see it by a window, because there's so much weight coming down from the second story, or even a 1-story. There's so much weight coming down, and sure, they distributed the weight, but it's still a very weak area right there underneath the window. So as you come into your basin, we're going to drill a hole. Even though we've got a nipple there, it's a little bit too high. we'll drill a new hole to accept the pipe, the footer pipe. And then you can see I've laid out the discharge line. It's 1.5 PVC. We'll cut the sod off and we'll discharge right over there by the wall. Okay, so we're going to drill the inlet. This is allowing that water from the footer to come down through the trench and enter into the sump basin. This is a 4-inch hole saw. Whoops. This is a 4-inch hole saw. And it makes a nice clean 4-inch hole, which will accept our pipe as it comes down from the footer. You can see a nice 4-inch hole. Bring that water right into the sump basin. And from the sump basin, we'll put a pump down the bottom. It's going to lift it up. We'll drill another hole through the side of the basin here, and it'll connect to our 1.5 inch, which is going to be trenched, all the way out and discharge at the sidewalks. Now we're going to drill the 2-inch hole. This is the discharge. So this is a 2-inch hole. This is going to be the exact outer diameter of the 1.5 inch pipe. So again, that 2-inch hole, wherever it is, is the exact outer diameter. You can see how easily that slides right into the pit. That's going to be our discharge as it comes out from the sump pump. It'll 45 and go right down the trench. Okay, so we're hooking up the discharge line from the sump pump. We've got a riser that comes up and a check valve. Remember, that allows water to flow only one direction. It has a little arrow on it. Then we have another riser, comes up to a 90, and 1.5 inch PVC comes out. Hook up this 45, and we'll continue to lay this down the trench. Next, we're going to go ahead and clean off this foundation, this footer and foundation. We just take the garden hose and spray it off. We'll come back and get those little bit of feeler roots off of there as well. But we need to clean this whole trench off all the way down to the sump basin. So again, with your garden hose, hopefully you've got some good pressure. You want to get as much dirt off of there as possible. It usually comes straight off, no worries. And then you come back and you pull out any of the little feeler roots that have gotten up underneath of there. That stuff that's not coming off with the hose, that's the old tar. That's stuck on there. Doesn't need to come off. We wanted to get the bulk of that tar where they tried to put it underneath of the stucco and the block. That just will not work at all. We got all that off. So we'll go ahead and take care of this, cleaning it off real quick. So again, when you're applying your liquid rubber, it's real important to get underneath of the stucco. You can see how there's a little ridge there from the stucco. And you got to get this liquid rubber up underneath. Yeah, so you paint it like you're putting it under a ledge. Try not to get any dirt on your brush because it'll come right off if you do. But that's looking a lot better. Nice and thick, good coating. And you can see we've done the whole wall. It's looking really good. All the way down. Okay, out here at the end of the discharge line, what we're doing is we're going to put on a 3-inch 90. You can see a 3-inch 90. And this is actually an adapter that goes from 1.5 inch schedule 40 PVC to 3-inch thin wall. And this is available at plumbing supply stores, not at Lowe's. You will not find this at Lowe's or Home Depot. So we're going to go ahead and glue that up. It slides right in. Next, we're going to go ahead and glue the adapter. Get some glue on there. And we'll hook that right onto our 1.5 inch PVC. So rather than the pop-up, what we're doing is we're going to put a grate on here, and we'll secure that grate because that pump's got a lot of pressure. It would just blow the pop-up right up off of there. So we'll put a screw in the side here to hold down this grate as well. So you can see with the little M53, 1/3 of a horsepower, that water really shoots out of the system quite well. So we've got all the sod back on. These guys are backfilling along the foundation. We'll grade that off and we'll be all done. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.